So in this segment, we're going to be talking a bit about celebrity boxing and why I think it should be allowed. So, seven-weight world champion Amanda Serrano. So we'll go through this article first, and I'll give my opinion. So, seven-weight world champion Amanda Serrano says an inexperienced boxer will get really hurt after watching YouTube star Jake Paul knock out ex-NBA basketball player Nate Robinson. Paul, 23, floored Robinson twice before a third brutal knockdown ended their Los Angeles fight in 2 rounds. Former New York Knicks and Chicago Bulls player Robinson needed medical assistance in the ring after his debut. They said they need to stop this stupid celebrity boxing thing. Serrano said. The Puerto Rican added, "Boxing is a serious game. Nothing to be doing for YouTube likes. Most amateurs turning pro." Most amateurs turning pro fight 4 rounds. These guys are debuting in a 6 rounder. Someone's going to get really hurt one day. Not cool at all. But the thing is, didn't Jake Paul win within like 2 rounds or something like that? So the 6 round argument doesn't really make sense. And the only other celebrity fights that I think I've seen, or recent ones from YouTubers, was obviously Jake Paul. Or no, which one? Logan Paul, KSI, which went by decision, and then you had Jake Paul versus KSI's brother. I can't remember his name. Deji, I think it's Deji. And that was I think that was a TKO stoppage. So that wasn't that bad. It's just because Jake Paul, what's his name? Nate Robinson fought like an absolute clown. And I'll get into that more. I'm no boxing analysis, but I can tell you what a guy who doesn't look like he's trained properly looks like. So most amateurs turning pro fight 4 rounds. These guys are debuting. I just said that, yeah. Paul wants McGregor after fast. McGregor would spark him. McGregor would absolutely destroy him in like a boxing match. Robinson was motionless on the canvas after crashing down face first in a fight which featured on the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. undercard. American Paul made his debut earlier in 2020. His brother Logan, who also stars on YouTube, took on one of the platform's biggest stars, KSI. In 2019, I remember that. Such fights have posed awkward questions on safety for boxing, while exhibition events like Tyson's draw with Jones also attracted criticism, given concerns over the age of both fighters. So, here we go. Teddy Atlas, who helped train Tyson in the early tweet, I don't care about athletes or not. Stop allowing guys who don't know how to fight into a ring. Paul has actually trained to fight. Awful. Why have a California commission? If they allow this? And this is one of the points that I'm going to be making in a minute. This is something that Teddy Atlas talks about, because there was a guy who Teddy Atlas interviewed for his podcast, Young Boxer. Fast Hands, can't remember what his name was. I'm not that big into boxing, but he said that Jake Paul actually spars with like proper boxers, like strong guys. You can tell Nate Robinson hasn't sparred. And so British cruiserweight Isaac Chamberlain wrote, these YouTube celebs are making boxing a joke. That's a serious knockout because the ref gave him every chance to continue for the fans. This is a farce. And so that, if he was... let's carry on, sorry. Paul reacted to his win by calling out UFC star Conor McGregor, among others, insisting he would knock the Irishman out. That's funny. The 23-year-old then tagged McGregor's agent in a tweet reading, I mean, what fighter with this big of a platform is calling out Conor McGregor? It's gonna. There are loads of fighters calling out Conor McGregor, like actual proper fighters, like Manny. I would argue Manny would have a much bigger platform than Jake Paul. Manny Pacquiao, a former world champion, a guy who broke pay-per-view records alongside Money Mayweather. And so my argument for allowing these guys to fight is the fact is that if there's an issue with commissions and pro licenses, what that means is there's a systemic issue with the whole system. Purely because these guys, Nate Robinson should never have been given a pro license, because Nate Robinson doesn't know how to box. Yeah, the guy looks strong. I looked at his arms, I was like, that's huge. His arms are huge. That means he's been hitting weights. And as a lot of boxing trainers, I think Teddy Atlas, again, is a thing that he points out. If you're a boxer, you shouldn't really be doing weights, because it's not going to help you that much. And all it's going to do is the more muscle you put on, the more chances are you're going to gas out, because that muscle eats up eats up energy far quicker, glucose far quicker. And so clearly what Robinson was doing is just doing it for the camera, really, trying to get bulk up and all that stuff, because he's a big guy, Jake Paul, but there's not a lot of muscle definition here. Fair enough, he's not flexing, but there's not a lot of muscle definition there. Like, so obviously he works out, but he doesn't do vanity workouts like I think Nate Robinson did. And Nate Robinson just didn't know how to box. He didn't know how to box. And he got found out. I think at one point, I think Jake Paul landed a really nice check hook on Nate Robinson. That's more of an advanced move. It's more of an advanced move from just a normal jab across a hook all that stuff. That's why I'm saying Jake Paul should have a pro license because he's proved himself to be a capable boxer, at least at a very low level. But Nate Robinson should never have been given a pro license. That's what's making the sport into a joke. It's not that these guys trying to get into professional fighting is the joke. The joke is the commissions and the regulators, whoever giving out these licenses. They're the problem. Because let's not forget here, I think it was it last year that one of the commissions, I think it was the California Commission, gave Chuck Liddell a pro license to fight MMA. Like, the guy's way past it. And even the Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight, you can argue that shouldn't have happened, but clearly they were fine. They were in decent shape, decent-ish shape for old men, and no one got absolutely sparked. And they put in special rules for that fight. Bigger gloves, any cuts, and the fight's off. And the rounds are shorter as well. And so for these, I agree with the first boxer who says that this is a serious problem. But at the same time, the commission needs to put rules in place to protect these guys if they somehow get a pro license. And again, I'm going to stress this again: Nate Robinson should never have been given a pro license. Never should that guy have been given a pro license, because the guy doesn't know how to fight. And that's what the problem is. It's whoever's giving out this pro licenses are the joke. I know I've said that a minute ago, but it's true. They're the problem there. It's the system that's the problem. It's not these guys trying to get into boxing, because that's where this money's at. That's the next gimmick for them. Some of these guys try music. Some of these guys try boxing. Some of these guys have done both. I think Logan Paul's doing a bit of music. KSI's obviously doing both. They're looking for new gimmicks, new things to expand into, because obviously whatever they're doing now, I know KSI's still. I don't know if he still does gaming. He might do other stuff. He did comedy skits at one point. That's their next kind of step in their kind of careers as YouTubers. But the problem is that boxing is the hurt game, MMA is the hurt game, and it's the people giving out licenses that are the problem. The people who are commissioning these fights that are the problem. And so I think I don't know who authorized this fight. I think it was Nevada or California, I don't know which one it is, but they need to take a serious look at themselves. These commissions need to take a serious look at themselves, because not only do you have massive problems with things like boxing, but you also have massive problems with these two guys who are getting involved in this sport. Or not these two guys, sorry. This guy, Nate Robinson, getting involved in this sport he had no right to be in. He had no right to have a pro license, and this fight had no right to be commissioned, because this guy does not know how to box. You can put on loads of muscle, you can look like Hulk, but if you don't know how to throw a punch, if you don't know how to feint, if you don't know how to read a feint, you don't know how to get into range, you're gonna have a rough time, especially against a guy who does train. If Jake Paul, is it Jake Paul? Which one's this one? I get so confused between him. Yeah, Jake Paul. If he starts throwing feints, you see Nate Robinson's panicking. He's panicking because he didn't know what was real, what was fake. That's the whole point of a feint, but he didn't know how to read it. He didn't know how to step into range. He ran in, and that's how he got himself hurt. He should never have been given a pro license. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Should these sort of celebrity YouTube fights be banned? Should they be regulated more harshly? Or do you agree with me? Nate Robinson, the problem is the commissions and the regulators. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.